Welcome everybody, Ravenar here, and today we're going to talk about the newest patch, patch 54.4. Like always, I do want to encourage you guys to skip to whatever hero you would like me to talk about. I will be including skips in the description down below, as well as reminding you guys that I do stream on Twitch, and that link will also be down below. And finally, make sure that you do comment, like, subscribe, and check out my other videos as well. But let's just go ahead and hop right into these patch notes. We're going to start with ETC, who is very likely going to be the star of this patch, at least in the skimming through that I've done. His Rockstar trait got a big buff here. Additional functionality. Heroic abilities grant 60 armor for 2 seconds. That's actually going to be huge. So that means at the first 2 seconds of Mosh Pit being off, ETC has 60 armor. That is actually massive change right there. It makes him a lot harder to kill, where if your team does not have any form of interrupt, a Mosh Pit with 60 armor is going to be terrifying. Obviously, he's going to get that 60 armor with Stage Dive as well, which is huge, but Mosh Pit with 60 armor is going to be massive, even if it is only for 2 seconds. And we're just going to see some ETC buffs here. Guitar Hero, E level 1. Healing for basic attacks increased from 50 to 60%. That's going to be good. Crowd Surfer, cooldown reduction increased from 5 to 7 seconds. That's going to be good right there. And Speed Middle, duration increased from 2 to 2.5 seconds. So some buffs on his level 4. And a level 7, Hammer On, damage bonus increased from 30 to 35, which is amazing. Echo Pedal, which was ETC's offlane ability that a lot of players would pick at level 7 if they were offlaning. Damage increased from 5 to 18. And the big one here, PvE damage bonus reduced from 250% to 200. So a bit of a nerf here, but I think it's supposed to be offsetted by the slight damage increase that they gave here. So this is supposed to be his offlane talent. We'll have to see how these numbers add up together. I would think that 50% nerf on that might be more than this increase, but it might have to do with scaling. But I think that they're trying to make sure that this doesn't become too strong. But overall, this is probably roughly going to be the same. And then we do have a slight buff on Stage Dive as well. Mana cost reduced from 100 to 70. Slow duration increased from 3 to 4 seconds. And they talk about ETC strength has usually been centered around his powerful heroics, but lately that hasn't helped him make the cut. We're trying to reinforce the identity with the baseline armor, which is basically what we're talking about up here. Good changes to ETC. I feel like this over here is just little bits of changes here and there. This is going to be the big change right here. All right, on to Gazlowe. Gazlowe nerf, which I kind of saw coming. Gazlowe is a little bit strong at lower ranks. I know that they say here he's pretty dominant in all non-master levels. Master players were a little bit perplexed by this because he isn't very strong in high-level play, but he is pretty dominant in low-level play. So here's what we got here. Reduced health from 2375 to 2275, so slight nerf on health and slight nerf on regeneration as well. His Q got a damage nerf as well, and his W also got a nerf. So just nerfing his baseline kit a little bit to bring down his power level. His talents were very strong at empowering his ability, so I guess they just nerf his baseline. Needed, in my opinion. Gazlowe is a pretty strong force at lower ranks. We're looking at Thrall here. His W mana cost reduced from 60 to 40. Obviously, Thrall did have a bit of mana problems in the lane. He couldn't really sustain, which is I know what they're going for here with these changes. So good change here. Echo of the Elements, mana cost reduced. It seems like they're just kind of helping with his mana cost issues a little bit. Level 4, Feral Resilience. Frostwolf Resilience stacks increased from 3 to 4. And his level 13, change functionality. Frostwolf Resilience can now be activated to instantly heal. This heal is increased by up to 100% based on Thrall's missing health. So similar to like a percent healing, which is actually going to be pretty strong because you can utilize that at lower health to give yourself more health. So I like this change here. Spirit Shield, spell armor duration increased from 2.5 to 4 seconds. Extra duration on spell armor by almost double is actually pretty good here. And then a new level 20. Basic attacks reduce basic and heroic ability cooldowns by 2.25 seconds, doubled against heroes. This seems like a pretty good change in my opinion. Getting CDR when attacking heroes, which is going to be half a second per hit at level 20. Obviously, it is a late game talent, but that gives you more heroic, more earthquake, more sundering. So it always says Thrall has struggled in the solo lane matchup. So these abilities with mana cost reductions is going to make Thrall more sustainable in the solo lane. I very much like these changes because I do know that Thrall suffered a lot in the solo lane. So I'm very excited to see these changes and feel like it's a good change for Thrall. All right, on to Zarya. Feel the Heat, which used to be the meta level 1. I'm not quite sure. I don't play Zarya myself, so we'll kind of say that keeping that in mind. But additional functionality well above 40 energy. Zarya's basic attack size increased by 35%. That's actually pretty huge because I know Feel the Heat is the talent that makes you do more damage at close range. Obviously, having that basic attack size bigger makes that range bigger. So this is a really good change here. I am the strongest. Additional functionality. Damage absorbed by Zarya shields contribute 20% more energy. And they removed 2 level 7s. Not sure what they did, but hit me up to the limit are going to be out, and they're adding a new one, which I actually really like this one. Basic attacks against heroes hit by particle grenade in the last 3 seconds generate 1 energy. Zarya's basic attacks hit pretty quickly. What they do here is they hit you with a particle grenade, and then they auto attack you. You aren't reliant on your enemy hitting you to get energy. So this talent is pretty huge if you're up against a team that is actually doing a good job of not hitting you when your shield is up, because this will give you another form of energy generation. So like this change here, level 10 Graviton Surge, additional functionality, deal 30 damage a second to affected enemies. Graviton Surge, I believe, ticks pretty fast, so 30 damage a second might not seem like much, but after scaling, it is going to be pretty strong in my opinion. Overall, good change here, obviously. So Zarya changes, I feel like, are better. Zarya, like Thrall, kind of suffers from not really having a place outside of very specific comps. So I do like this change, and we'll have to see if this helps push her into the meta a little bit more. All right, Anna, who has kind of been a forgotten healer in my opinion. She used to be really strong, but kind of fell off a little bit just because of how easy she is to dive. Level 1 contact healing, additional functionality. Bionic grenade deals 30 additional damage per enemy hero's hit. Vampiric rounds stacking dose bonus shriek healing increased from 0.75 to 1, so extra healing on the trait. More damage on W when you hit multiple players. That's definitely a big change on both. Biotic enhancements, basically they're buffing W build, it looks like here. Cooldown reduction increased from 2 to 3 seconds. And this is the one I was excited about. Debilitation Dart. If no heroes are hit, reduces cooldown by 8 seconds. I can't tell you how many times I've missed this, and it's just, it hurts. Having this CDR on a miss is going to be really good and kind of lessens the impact and gives Anna a little bit more viability where you don't have to rely so heavily on hitting them. You can kind of just throw them out when you think it's necessary, and then you get that CDR if you end up not needing it. So good change here in my opinion. Sharpshooter bonus healing increased by 35% while at maximum stacks. Really like this change to Q. Concentrated doses on Q, bonus healing increased from 10 to 12. So just increasing her couple Q choices at 16. So I know that at 16 you would go for the triple Q. And I think that they're just trying to bring up the other choices a little bit more. So we'll have to see if these can help that as well. You would always definitely go for the triple Q. Giving you a couple different situations to use these, I think will be pretty strong. So overall, I do like these changes, and I do want to see if that will help people make the other talents pickable. And lastly, Deadeye, the horse upgrade, bonus damage and healing per hero hit, increased from 4 to 5%. I feel like this talent it's basically just more damage, more healing. You can never go wrong with adding more damage or more healing to that. So good change to this. If you're picking Eye of Horus, generally I would say that this is probably going to be a good upgrade for you anyway. So obviously made better. Overall, good changes to Anna. I don't believe they're going to make a huge difference. The biggest change here for Anna's, at least at low ranks, is going to be this right here, because CDR is going to be more forgiving at lower ranks. I don't think it's going to change enough to really bring her into the meta. Anna's still very much going to suffer from that fear of being dove. But overall, I do think that this is a good change to Anna, a definite buff to Anna. I just don't think it's going to be enough to really push her further really than what she already is, but I definitely hope I'm wrong. Brightwing, nerfs that I'm sad to see, but nerfs that I do believe are needed. Health nerf and health regeneration nerf on Brightwing. They're just trying to make her a little bit less of a playmaking potential when she Z's in. And Soothing Mist Heal reduced from 115 to 110, and Activation reduced from 90 to 75. So they reduced the cooldown on her cleanse, which is nice. Obviously, that is actually a pretty big change for her. But they just nerfed her base health a little bit and her base healing. She's been pretty strong. I feel like these nerfs are small. I don't think that these are going to really change anything. I feel like Brightwing is still going to be a top tier pick. The health nerf isn't that substantial in my opinion, and it's the sort of thing where you picked her for Hyper Shift at 1 and potentially Peekaboo or at higher ranks Critical Mist at 7. That's not going to change. So I still think that she's going to be a force to be reckoned with, but it is changes that I did believe needed to happen. But overall, good change to Brightwing. Lili, buffs that I don't think are going to help her at all, but buffs nonetheless. Her missile speed on her Q and E are going to travel 20% faster, which is nice, and her cleanse had a range increase. Her cleanse is on a short cooldown, so an increased range on that is definitely nice, and it's a decent increase in range as well. So I'm happy to see that. I believe for them to buff Lili, they need to do more than just increase the travel time of her heal. This isn't the problem with her kit, it's the amount of healing that she can put out and everything around that. I do understand that it is based around fast feet a lot, her CDR that she gets from being attacked. That's something to keep in mind. This alone isn't really going to change anything about Lili. It is nice to have the longer cleanse, but overall, Lili's not a great healer to begin with. She's very good at lower ranks just because you need a lot of lockdown to kill her and a lot of coordinated CC. I don't think that this is going to change anything, but a buff's a buff nonetheless, and it's very welcomed to see a Lili buff. Stukov, a bit of a change to him here. Fetid Touch, his W, slow amount of the basic attacks increased from 15 to 20%. Reduction of basic attack damage while in range mode from 50 to 40%. So buffs here increase the slow, and he doesn't get hindered as much when he switches between modes. So that's definitely going to be a good change here. Ballistic Bell Spores, which I believe, or Reactive Bell Spores, is I believe going to be the nerf that I was expecting. Search range of talent activation reduced by 20%, so obviously it's less of a search range. Bile Kill Switch cooldown reduction well below 50%, reduced from 150 to 100. Cooldown increased from 60 to 75. They're trying to make the level 1 talents, other level 1 talents more appealing, which I agree with. This was definitely the go-to all the time, and it's nice to see them show some love to the other ones. And Low Blow, which is the E build, bonus damage to heroes below 50% health, increased from 100 to 125. I do very much like this change. E build has never really been the build to go, but for me it has definitely been the most fun build to play. So I hope that this makes it viable. I hope that all of these are viable. Generally, one always seems to shine over the other, but hopefully it's a situation where it could be a little bit more situational. Something like E-Build on maps that have chokes, a lot of long range that you need to utilize. It could be good between switching between range and melee form and slowing them. But we'll have to see here. Overall, good changes to Stukov's level 1. 13 at Hungers, which is his another E talent. Bonus cast range increased from 20 to 30%, so he has a longer range E. Hero damage instantly needed to proc cooldown reduction, and mana refund decrease from 8 to 6. So buff on his E here, very good. Again, I do love E build, so very welcome in my opinion. Universal Carrier, healing pathogen healing reduced from 40 to 25%. Pretty big nerf on his Q, almost a 50% nerf on this talent, which is pretty huge. I think Universal Character was kind of the meta pick, so they're trying to nerf the meta picks and buffing some of the surrounding talents to make things better. Super Strain, which is actually the one I would go, healing from being stunned or rooted increased from 250 to 300. I believe Super Strain is what I went. Granted, that doesn't mean it was the right pick, but they're trying to buff one and nerf another. So we'll have to see here. Overall, good changes to Stukov, in my opinion. The E buffs, I feel like are going to be very welcome for people who do enjoy E build, like myself. And we'll have to see if that really does help Stukov's other talent shine a little bit. But I do like these changes, so thumbs up for me there. All right, Maiev, gonna start by saying a character I do not play, but a character I understand enough. Vault of the Wardens, who's her D jump invulnerability thing. After reaching level 20, gain an additional charge. I know they're doing this to try to help her late game a little bit. I very much like this change. Maiev is always a hero that is terrifying in higher level hands, so this might be an unwelcome change at higher ranks because obviously that just gives her another form of annoyance. At lower ranks, it's going to make Maiev a little bit more forgiving at late game with players that want to play her. So I do like this change, though I do question if it's going to be too devastating at higher ranks, but only time will tell on that. Again, we'll go through the talents, even though I don't fully understand all of them. Pin down Q. First quest reward damage bonus increased from 25 to 35, 10% increase here, which is nice. Bonds of Corruption, armor reduction increased from 10 to 15. Slow amount increased from 20 to 25, and duration reduced from 4 to 3. So just slight increase on armor, slow, and duration. So good change here. It seems like containment disc. This one obviously we know. Heroes leaving containment disc are silenced for 1.5 seconds. That's pretty huge. You come out of this containment disc after being CC'd for, I don't know what it is, 4 to 6 seconds, and then you're silenced for an additional 1.5 seconds. That's going to make it a lot harder for you to get away. So good change here for containment disc. The reason they're doing this is because the other alt is by far the most popular alt and the better alt, so they're trying to add a little bit of flavor to a single target sort of isolation kill alt. So good change here. Armored Assault physical damage bonus increased from 20 to 25. All right, so good change. They say it can be hard for Maiev to outmaneuver her opponent's late game, so we're excited to see Maiev players will do with an extra charge of Vault of the Wardens. This is also the first time we're adding a new functionality through a level unlock rather than converting baseline quests or popular talent. So they added this without it ever being a talent before. So like I said, Maiev change overall is going to be good, but like I said, she is very, very good in the right hands. At higher ranks, I'm wondering if this is going to make her maybe a little bit too broken. At lower ranks, I don't believe it's going to change too much about her. But at higher ranks, I could see this almost making her too broken, especially with the level 1. But again, like I always say, only time will tell. Kael'Thas. We're getting to the mages of the patch, which is what I'm excited about. Health increase, health regeneration increase, E cooldown decrease. They're obviously buffing Kael'Thas, which they haven't talked about or done anything to in years, it feels like. So welcome change here. Level 4, Energy Royal. Cooldown reduction for hitting heroes. Reduced from 9 to 8. Nice. Mana Tap, which is his obviously trait. Mana Restoration from activating his spheres increased from 4% to 5%. So extra mana off of his trait. Very good. They're just trying to spruce up his level 4s a little bit. And his alt Phoenix damage increased from 78 to 84. Splash increased from 39 to 42. Overall, good change to Kael'Thas. Obviously, not huge changes, but welcome changes nonetheless. So I like this change. And now on to Kel'Thuzad, one of the other mages. Again, giving him a bit of a health increase and a health regeneration increase. His glacial spike damage increased from 60 to 70. This doesn't matter in my opinion. The glacial spike damage is not really a big issue. You don't drop glacial spike to do damage. You do it to chain. So this literally does not matter in the least, whether it did 60 damage or 100. No one's ever really going to be near enough unless they horrendously buff the damage for it to matter. I don't think I've ever seen glacial spike get a kill. Obviously, a buff is a buff, but I don't think it's anything that really matters. Ice Cold, level 7, bonus cooldown reduction increased from 8 to 10. Icy Grasp, bonus reduction per basic attack increased from 0.5 to 0.75. Again, just buff to a couple of the core mages here. Increase health, increase health regeneration. So welcome change here. The main changes on Kel'Thuzad and Kael'Thas are just going to be their health. But welcome changes here and very happy to see them. Nazeebo, which is the nerf that we saw coming, but a nerf that obviously we can all agree we needed. So E-build, damage over 6 seconds increased from 119 to 125. Widowmaker, the Q, slow amount decreased from 30 to 25%. Slow duration increased from 1.5 to 1 second. And quest reward bonus damage decreased from 30 to 25. I actually don't feel like this is enough. I do know that this is obviously going to be a nerf regardless, but I feel like this isn't enough. But we'll get to it after we get through everything. I do have thoughts on it. They're buffing E some more. They're buffing his toads. Heroics needed to hit to unlock tier 1 decreased from 40 to 35. Heroes needed to unlock tier 2 reduced from 80 to 70. They're making it easier to complete the Toad quest, which is nice. Blood Ritual stacks per takedown decreased from 5 to 3. I feel like this is the wrong direction. Like I said in my last patch, I feel like 5 stacks is not very many to get off of a whole kill. Now, if you're killing Murky and getting 5 stacks per, if you're killing Vikings, that's obviously going to add up pretty quickly. But how many heroes are you actually going to kill during the course of a game to give yourself enough stacks to actually matter? To me, Blood Ritual should be the I pick Nazeebo on a 2-lane map sort of talent, and I don't think that this is actually helping it. I don't think the talent was that pickable before, and I think that this just made it worse. So overall, bad change to this, in my opinion. Not really happy with this. Level 13, Guardian Toad's armor duration per hero hit increased from 2 to 3 seconds. So obviously, armor reduction lasts longer. Spider Colony, which is the CDR cooldown reduction for Plague of Toads zombie roll, reduced from 2.5 to 1.25. So they're nerfing the CDR on the Toads and the zombie wall part of the CDR. I know that they added that it reduces the Q as well, so that must stay the same, which is interesting. But overall, good change to Nazeebo. Obviously, he did need a nerf. This change, I feel like, is going to push him back to the you can't pick him on 2-lane maps. It used to be last patch that you could pick him no matter what. So what this change is going to do is limit him back to picking him on the maps that you should only be picking him on. Maps like Tomb of the Spider Queen, maps that have 2 lanes that are close together, Infernal Shrines, for example, that you can double soak to get those Vile Infection stacks. Again, good change to Naz. I just feel like the Q one could be a little bit more, but I guess it's better to do a good nerf than to over nerf it like they did with Zagara. So I guess they're just trying to see if this is enough and then go from there. I do believe that this is obviously good. We'll just see if it's enough. Valla, W multi-shot damage decreased from 165 to 159. Cooldown increased from 12 to 13. So the nerfing W build, which obviously I saw coming. W build and to a lesser extent Q build were by far Valla's best builds. Puncturing arrow damage per hero hit decreased from 7 to 6, and then they're buffing auto attack. So maximum bonus damage from basic attacking enemy heroes increased from 5 to 6%. Gambit attack speed increased from 20 to 25. I like these changes. W and Q build were by far the 2 better builds of Valla, and auto attack on Valla very much was her worst build for this entire patch, which is very sad because Valla has always been considered that auto attack hero, and for her best builds to be based around her doing ability damage, almost turning her into a form of a mage, wasn't really the right step that you want to take Valla in. So I'm very happy to see a buff to her auto attack build. It needs to be a situation where these are all situational. You go Q on something like BOE, you go W against a team that has a lot of blinds, and then auto attack is your baseline cookie cutter build that you normally go in every other situation. You need to be picking Valla to auto attack, not to do ability damage, and that was not the case. So I like the change here. This very much should help her auto attack build pick up a little bit and hopefully be a more viable pick going forward. So very excited to see this change here with Valla. Zagara, last but not least, Zagara. Increase her health some more, increase her health regeneration, and additional functionality on her level 20, gain 20% bonus attack speed. I like this change here. Obviously, this is a late game talent, so you always got to keep that in mind. Increased attack speed is going to be nice. I feel like they over-nerfed Zagara last patch. She was obviously very strong 2 patches ago. And I said from the beginning, all they needed to do was nerf her Q, but then they went ahead and nerfed her health and attack as well. So giving a little bit of that health back is going to be good for Zagara. Good change here, good addition to the level 20. We'll have to see if this can help Zagara kind of itch her way back into the meta because I very much enjoy playing her. What do we think about this patch? I really like it. I think ETC is going to be the superstar of this patch. I very much think ETC is the one who's going to come out of here and benefit it. Overall, though, I do really enjoy this patch. I think it is a very welcome patch. They did do a couple buffs to mages. Obviously, the Nazeebo Valla nerfs came in as expected, and a Brightwing nerf as well. They hit a lot of those top-tier must-ban heroes, so I'm very excited to see that they did that. I feel like, again, ETC is going to see a lot more play. Gazlowe obviously taking a bit of a nerf at lower levels. What do I rank this? I would give this patch a B+. So overall, I do very much enjoy this patch, but we're going to go ahead and thank you guys for joining me today. Like I said, make sure you guys do like, subscribe, comment on this video. Check out my other videos as well. Check me out on my stream. But most importantly though, catch you guys next time. Have a good night.